doing this piece today because the CMCO is back again for the next 2 weeks. We don't know how long this is going to stretch. But what has happened is for education institutions, whether it's kindergartens, primary, secondary schools, right up to college and universities, it's all gone back into online teaching. And that really... Why? Because we all know that it's very hard to get people to learn online, especially when the environment is not actually ready for us to teach online. Right now, while everyone is forced to learn online, it takes a lot of skill to be able to communicate what you want to teach to someone that's not physically present in front of you. And I really feel for all the education providers out there who are now forced to do this again. It requires so much more planning, having great presentation skills to be able to capture the attention of so many students for such a long period. And there's a lot of challenges for those who are learning or teaching online. Firstly, you're in an environment where everyone's talking at the same time. There's less human contact, and being physically present is a major force in capturing someone's attention. And when you don't have the ability to be right in front of them,
what did you say?
Read body language and understand whether what you're communicating is actually being absorbed in the right manner. Now, the teaching hours are actually less. It's not the full hours as it used to be. There's less one-to-one personal interaction with the teacher. There's less personal interaction amongst the peers. And there's also less chance for a teacher to actually gauge what they're teaching is actually understood. Now, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a learner who's going to do this online. Do you really think they're able to sit down there for 4 hours or 2 hours straight listening?
Boring!
Even the greatest movies with all that huge investment is only an hour and a half long. And you know, the amount of expertise that goes into keeping that person fully focused and watching that whole stretch. Now, I can understand why teaching online is hard. It's because the good technology for online learning is quite expensive still by Malaysian standards, so it's not easy for everyone to adopt it. And that is why I think not many people use the good technology at the moment, and they're going for the free online learning systems, which doesn't have all the capability that is required to keep someone engaged. Now, one success story about how to keep someone constantly activated online is by online gaming. We all know that for the last 20 years or so, they've been very successful in keeping someone so focused for so many hours, sometimes even the whole day. And how are they able to do this? How are they able to keep kids' attention for so long? Firstly, there's a lot of active participation from that individual. They are constantly doing challenge after challenge, going at it, and they have to use all their skills and wit to be able to overcome the challenges posed to them. And the challenges are exciting. It's stuff that they actually want to embark on. Their competitive spirit comes alive in getting all those points, getting all those badges and winning those awards, and actually overcoming their competition with all those wins. Most importantly, I think people play when they are ready to play. And I think this is the most important part of keeping someone engaged and not being forced to do something that they don't want to do. If I could share a few tips of who I see is conducting online lessons well, it would be those who focus their teaching by telling a story. How do you communicate what you want to teach in a story? Because a story is easy to understand. It's not about rote learning, but it's about actually understanding what is being told, how it's being communicated. And that is not easy, because being a great storyteller is something that you actually have to practice to be able to have that flow, high and low intonations, knowing where to stress, to be able to keep someone focused on what is important that they're supposed to learn. The subject matter is then easier to go and be implanted in the long-term memory when they are actually able to understand and connect with the information that they've just learned with their surroundings and environment. The second point besides telling a story is keeping your participant actively engaged. And one way to do that, share or teach for 2 to 5 minutes, and then keep your participant engaged and active for 2 to 5 minutes. And this is the way that it should go throughout your session, because then they're always switched on, and then they have to participate and share back. They're switched on, and then they have to share back. It's also easy for the teacher to share that content when it's short. It's easy for them to be presentable. It also reduces the amount of online fatigue. Besides telling a good story and keeping the content short and very interactive, I think having a professional setup in the way your lighting, your audio, your background is communicated is also important, because people who watch a lot of YouTube content or movies online are already have a preconceived idea of how something professional is supposed to look. And when someone teaches them and it doesn't look professional, they also don't get that information absorbed in that same exciting way. Besides a good setup, a good online management system, one that can track what the student has participated in, all their results, all their badges and points, and also for them to reflect over time to better themselves, what they've done in the past and how they need to plan to move towards what they want to do in their future. So having a good online management system, one that is cost effective but yet is able to deliver all the components of learning that a teaching environment requires. Now, something that we all take for granted is we don't have enough breaks. When you're doing online learning, you need to have a lot of breaks. It can be every 15 minutes you have a break. The break does not need to be long. It just needs to be a cut off from when you're teaching so that people can go to the toilet, have a healthy snack, incorporate stretching in your teaching just so that all their senses are still activated throughout the session, and include maybe a lot of humor in the session as well. Now, it's also scientifically proven that when you're teaching, people tend to remember easier when it's not only their mind that is engaged but also their emotion. If you share concepts, case studies that is exciting, that is meaningful, that is significant, they can relate better and also retain that information longer. I hope this helps you guys, and look forward to watching more great online content. Cheers.